Urgent news! This one caught everyone by surprise. Andrea Berta is set to sign the striker who scored more goals than Alexander Isak for free, and Mikel Arteta issues his verdict on Jorginho and Riccardo CALAFIORI'S return to the Champions League semi-finals. All this and more you can check out now with the top Arsenal news directly from Emirates Stadium, so make sure to like the video and check your subscription so you don't miss any updates. And without further ado, let's get started. Big news coming out of the Arsenal camp. Word is that the club's got serious eyes on Jonathan David, and this summer might finally be the moment they make their move. According to Arsenal Insider, we're looking at bringing him in on a free transfer, which, let's be honest, would be an absolute steal. The Canadian striker's been doing the business again this season for Lille, 23 goals in all competitions. That kind of form doesn't go unnoticed, and now there's a whole lineup of European heavyweights sniffing around. We're talking Manchester United, Barcelona, Inter Milan, the usual suspects. But here's the thing, Arsenal have been linked with David for what feels like ages now, and with his contract running out, this summer could be our golden chance to finally get him through the door without paying a massive fee. Imagine him linking up with Saka, Martinelli, and Odegaard. That could be deadly. Let's see if Edu and Arteta pull the trigger, because if they do, this one could be a serious statement signing. Arsenal are looking at Jonathan David ahead of summer transfer window. Kai Havertz is officially done for the season with a hamstring issue, and to be honest, even before he went down, there were already question marks floating around about his performances. And as if that wasn't enough, Gabriel Jesus is still working his way back from that ACL injury, and it doesn't look like we'll be seeing him in an Arsenal shirt anytime soon either. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. We need a new striker. Urgently. The club's got their eyes on a bunch of names, trying to figure out who fits best in Arteta's system. We've heard the usual suspects being thrown around. Victor Gyökeres, Alexander Isak, Benjamin Sesko. All exciting options, no doubt. But now, according to TBR's transfer man Graham Bailey, there's another name firmly in the mix, Jonathan David. And not just for Arsenal either. Liverpool and United have also made inquiries, so we're not the only ones circling. Apparently there's a lot of movement behind the scenes. Barcelona and Inter Milan are also in the race. And while West Ham's name came up too, it sounds like that link's being overhyped. Bailey made it clear, David is definitely on Arsenal's radar, and Andrea Berta, who's been flat out working this window already, is taking a serious look at him. He's available on a free, which is massive, but the real question is he the main guy Arteta wants? Well, maybe not the top target, but he's in the conversation, and with our current striker situation, we might not have the luxury of waiting around too long. Let's see what Arteta and Berta cook up, but don't be shocked if Jonathan David ends up wearing red and white next season. Scoring more league goals than Isak last season, David would certainly arrive in N5 with an impressive pedigree. Exceptional at finding himself in dangerous positions in the box and getting on the end of moves. The 25-year-old is a natural goal scorer. From that point of view, he looks like a good fit for Arsenal, particularly given he'll be available for nothing. However, this is about as far as his suitability to Arsenal goes. There are question marks about David's ability to contribute to the build-up, and his poor creative and dribbling numbers reflect that. Mikel Arteta's system has significant demands of the striker, and David doesn't appear to be capable of fulfilling these demands. If Arsenal do go down this route, you'd imagine it's to save money to invest heavily in another position. Mikel Arteta issues Jorginho and Riccardo CALAFIORI Champions League semi-final return verdict with latest injury update on two Arsenal stars. Arsenal are into the last four of the Champions League, although Mikel Arteta faces a difficult decision ahead of the first leg against Paris Saint-Germain. The Gunners secured their progression into the semi-final by beating Real Madrid 2-1 at the Bernabeu on Wednesday night, with the tie ending 5-1 on aggregate. Thomas Partey received a yellow card in the clash against Los Blancos, which means he'll miss the game against PSG at the Emirates through suspension. Arteta has several options he could explore in Partey's absence, with Jorginho the most like-for-like replacement. More injury drama for Arsenal right when we least need it. Jorginho missed the game against Real Madrid in Spain after picking up a knock in the Brentford clash over the weekend. The Italian had to come off with what turned out to be a chest issue, and the early word was that he'd be out for a few weeks. Now, with Partey also ruled out for the first leg of the Champions League semi-final, things are starting to feel a bit tense in that midfield. Arteta was asked about Jorginho's status on Friday, and surprise, surprise, he didn't give much away. Jorgi is not going to be available yet. He's still struggling with that incident, the boss said. And when pushed about whether the midfielder would be ready for PSG, he just threw it back to the medical staff. That's a question for the doctors. It's quite a specific and difficult matter, so I'll leave that to the club. Classic Arteta, keeping his cards close. As if that wasn't enough to stress about, Riccardo Calafiori is also out for now. He picked up a knee injury while on duty with Italy last month, so he's another name that's been stuck on the injury list. But there's at least a glimmer of good news. Arteta confirmed that Calafiori might actually be back in time for the PSG clash. If everything goes well, I think so, maybe a little bit earlier, he said. He's on the pitch already, he's doing quite a lot of stuff. We just need to make the right steps now to make sure that when he's back, he's in good shape. If Jorginho's not fit for that huge semi-final showdown, we might see Arteta shuffle things around, maybe give Miles Lewis-Skelly a shot in midfield and push Calafiori into that left-back slot, assuming he's match ready. Either way, it's crunch time, and the squad depth is really going to be tested. Fingers crossed the lads heal up in time, because we're going to need everyone firing if we're going to take down PSG and get to that final. Mikel Arteta issues Kai Havertz fitness update. Alright Gooners, there might be a glimmer of hope on the Kai Havertz front. The German's been out since mid-February with a nasty hamstring injury. Hasn't kicked a ball for us in months. But just when we thought his season might be completely done and dusted, a bit of good news started floating around last week. Apparently there's a chance, a real chance, that Havertz could make it back just in time for the Champions League final. Yeah, you read that right. If we get there, touch wood, he might actually be in the squad. Arteta hasn't completely shut the door on that idea either. He was asked about Havertz and the possibility of him featuring in the semis, but he was pretty clear on that one. Probably a no-go for now. Semi-finals? I think that's too close, Mikel admitted. But if I have to bet on him coming back earlier than people expect, I'd say yes. And here's the part that gives us all hope. Arteta praised his work ethic like crazy. The way he works every day in that gym, pushing everybody, I don't think you can hold him much longer. You've gotta love that kind of attitude. Havertz is clearly doing everything he can behind the scenes to be ready in case the boys go all the way. So now we wait. First, we've got to get past PSG and book that final. Then, who knows, maybe Havertz shows up in the biggest game of our season and writes himself into Arsenal folklore. Let's take care of business, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see Kai back when it matters most. Fabrizio Romano says Mikel Arteta will have a lot of power in transfer market as numerous players firmly in Arsenal sights. Romano, speaking on his YouTube channel, began by praising Arsenal for their efforts so far this season, despite having had to deal with so many injuries. He said Arsenal are doing something special, and also praised Arteta for having conveyed a message of unity and solution finding. Romano then went on to say that Arteta will be backed handsomely in the transfer market and will have a lot of power as he and Berta look to bolster Arsenal's ranks. What I can tell you today is that Arteta will be backed in the market, began Romano. Arteta will have a lot of power in the market. Together with Andrea, they will plan for the strategy. Martin, Zubimendi is a top target. The new striker will arrive. Arsenal will do also more on the market. So Arsenal are working hard on Zubimendi, on the striker, on the winger probably, and more. So Arsenal will be busy in the market and Arteta will be backed, but he really deserved that. Well folks, those were the main news for today. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated on everything happening with our beloved team, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for joining us, and until the next video.